Hare Krishna. I welcome everybody to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call to our mid-morning classes. We are starting new topic today, new book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 1 by His Grace Hariparshad Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Lord Chaitanya's teaching, chapter 1. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining and giving your valuable time and association. And thank you so much for opening up this book and first class from you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear the first chapter from you. Hare Krishna. Please take over, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me clearly, Mataji?
Yes, I can see you also, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So, thank you so much, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Thank you so much, Kirtida Sundari Mataji. Thank you so much, Priti Vilasini Mataji, for kindly inviting me here today to speak something on teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And we are today going to study the first chapter. So before I start, I wanted to ask if the introduction and prologue has been studied, or whether the plan was to start directly from chapter first.
Prabhu, if you can touch upon the introduction briefly, that would also be helpful if you have the time, or we can go directly to the chapter.
Yeah, because I think the introduction is long and it has the entire summary, and there's also an introduction by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But we can start from chapter 1. I'll just spend a few minutes explaining what the book is about, so that some short introduction is given. So I'm very thankful, Priti Vilasini Mataji, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, that you have kindly invited me here. And it's the most auspicious month of Kartik. And in this most auspicious month of Kartik, we are commencing this series on teachings of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So actually there is a deep relationship between Kartik Mas and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because in Kartik Mas, Krishna's pastimes of being Damodar are celebrated. These pastimes were very dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Damodar himself. And when Damodar Leela was going on, there was one personality who was not so much into the picture, that is Srimati Radharani. So in the entire narration of Damodar Leela in the Bhagavatam, we do not hear of the name of Srimati Radharani. But still she was present there. And therefore Satyavrat Muni says, Namo Radhikayai Tvadiya Priyayai, that obeisance is to you, Srimati Radharani, who is very dear to you. So in this way, this particular pastime of Radha Damodar that takes place in the month of Kartik is very dear to the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these pastimes were discussed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Gaura Bhaktas. Specifically, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes have been discussed in 5 lectures, which have been compiled into a book known as Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So Srila Prabhupada gave 5 talks based on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and teachings. And these teachings, which were in the form of 5 talks given by Srila Prabhupada, were compiled in this book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And today we are going to hear so many of Srila Prabhupada's purifying words. And it's very important to read these teachings so that one can exactly understand what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught to his near and dear associates, such as Srila Rupa Goswami. But before we begin, there is our Shishta Parampara, the tradition established by our great acharyas to perform Mangalacharan and then begin the talk. So I will perform Mangalacharan. Most of us know these verses, so you can kindly sing along with me. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय। कार्तिक मास दामोदर मास की जय। हरे कृष्ण। So I will share my screen and we will begin from the first chapter of teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Prabhupada names this first chapter as Teachings to Rupa Goswami. So I will read a few things, then I'll explain a few things, then I'll read a few things, then I'll explain a few things. And we'll try to cover the first chapter as much as possible. So let's begin, dear devotees. The first chapter is Teachings to Rupa Goswami. So Srila Prabhupada speaks. Srila Rupa Goswami, the younger brother of Sanatana Goswami, went to Prayag, the modern city of Allahabad, with his younger brother Vallabha. When the two brothers heard that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there, they both became very much pleased and went to see the Lord. So, dear devotees, there was an occasion when Srila Rupa Goswami got his darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually speaking, Srila Rupa Goswami had retired from his household life, and he, as well as his brother, Sri Anupam Goswami, they were on Tirtha Yatra. Srila Rupa Goswami had very firm faith in the glories of visiting Prayag. Very firm faith. Because Srila Rupa Goswami believed very firmly in taking a bath in Triveni Sangam. Triveni Sangam is the confluence of the three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. So these three rivers, they meet at Prayag, Allahabad. And Sri Rupa Goswami wanted to go there, especially in the month of Magh, because it is said that Magh Snan is very beneficial for any devotee's spiritual life. Even in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami has mentioned about Magh Snan. Magh Snan is a practice of taking bath for 1 month in the Triveni Sangam during the month of Magh. And when this bath is taken, it is described that it frees a person of all the sinful reactions that he or she has accumulated over multiple lifetimes. So they had firm faith in this Magh Snan. So they were staying in Prayag. But fortunately, they heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also there. So it was such a nice coincidence. Actually, it was Krishna's arrangement, Mahaprabhu's arrangement. So they went to see the Lord. So Prabhupada describes at that time, the Lord was on his way to visit the temple of Bindu Madhav. So there is a deity of Bindu Madhav there. This deity is very ancient deity. It is said that once when Lord Krishna visited Varanasi, there was a Brahman whose name was Anubindu, who satisfied him by chanting various prayers. So in order to reciprocate with this Brahmana named Anubindu, the Lord stayed permanently in Varanasi at the place where Bindu Madhav is there. Srila Sridhar Swami, in his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, when he begins, he also mentions Bindu Madhav. Madhavo Madhava Vishav. So I glorify Madhava and Umadhava. Madhava is Bindu Madhav and Umadhava is Kashi Vishwanath, the Lord of Uma. Madhava Umadhava. Madhavo Madhava Ishav. Both lords are there in Kashi. On the way to the temple, the Lord was chanting and dancing, and thousands of people were following him. Some were crying, some were laughing, some were dancing, some were singing, some were falling on the ground offering obeisances to Lord. And all of them were roaring the holy name, Krishna, 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 Krishna. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was organizing large-scale Sankirtan in Varanasi. Obviously, some Koop Mandukas, some frogs in the well were not happy because they did not like that Sankirtan would spread in Kali Yuga. So some people were not happy that this sannyasi is engaging everyone to chant so loudly Krishna, 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 Krishna. And they were not happy with that. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never worried about that. So Prabhupada describes, it is said that in spite of being at the confluence of the rivers Ganga and Yamuna, Prayag was never flooded until the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at which time the city was overflooded by love of Krishna. So as soon as Mahaprabhu arrived there, there was a new flood, which is the flood of Krishna Prem. So Prabhupada describes the two brothers, Rupa Goswami and Vallabh, stayed aloof in an uncrowded place and witnessed the great crowd and the wonderful scene. So what happened is, both of them, they stood afar and saw the wonderful scene. At that point of time, Srila Rupa Goswami definitely has visualized his pranam mantra. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratrushay Namaha. Because he has seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from a distance for the first time. So that's when the pranam mantra has been composed. Namo Mahavadanyaya. Obeisances to the most magnificent, munificent Krishna Prema Pradaya. To he who is freely bestowing Krishna Prema. Krishna, actually, he's Krishna himself, Krishna Chaitanya Namne, but he's come under the name of Krishna Chaitanya. Gauratushe. Now, brilliant complexion, brilliant golden fair complexion. Now, obeisance system. So, when the Lord danced, he raised his arms and shouted, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. The people all about him were astonished to see his activities. Indeed, the wonderful scene is difficult to describe. So, Srila Prabhupada says that after visiting the temple, the Lord accepted prasadam, food offered to the deity, at the house of a Deccanist Southern Brahmana with whom he was acquainted. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had a practice that he would eat only at the home of a Brahman. So why so? Because he is a sannyasi and there are very strict rules that a sannyasi should observe. A sannyasi traditionally is not allowed to cook for himself. So Srila Rupa Goswami could have cooked for him. But no, Srila Rupa Goswami also was ostracized from the Brahmin society because he had served under Nawab Hussain Shah. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu selected a Brahmana from, Prabhupada says, from the Deccan area. Now Deccan is a modification of the term Dakshina. So there was a Dakshin Brahmana, Southern Brahmana. Specifically, this Brahmana was from the state of Maharashtra. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very acquainted with this Brahmana from Maharashtra. So, dear devotees, it's a sannyasi's duty also to eat in places where it is slightly austere. So, what is the austerity? Actually, to eat at a Maharashtrian's place is slightly austere for somebody who is born on the eastern part of India, because there is a lot of cultural difference. The foods are not the same, the cooking style is not the same, the oil used is not the same. In the eastern part of India, they use mustard oil for cooking, whereas in Maharashtra, they never use mustard oil for cooking. In Maharashtra, they always use groundnut oil for cooking. So this is a lot of difference of culture, and that is austere life for a sannyasi, because he could have selected a Bengali Brahmin who could have cooked exactly according to his taste. But then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also understands that he has to eat something which is not very ruchikar. Ruchikar means which is not so pleasing to the senses that he stays there simply for the food. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at the home of this Brahmana. The Prabhupada describes, while sitting alone at the Brahmana's home, the Lord was visited by Rupa Goswami and Vallabha. So, interestingly, Srila Rupa Goswami came and Sri Vallabha came. So, Sri Vallabha was the younger brother of Srila Rupa Goswami, but the elder brother Sri Sanatan Goswami was still in the prison of Nawab Hussain Shah, because Nawab Hussain Shah caught him speaking a lie that, I am sick and so I cannot come to work. But in actuality, Sanatan Goswami was reading Srimad Bhagavatam and crying with the Vaishnavas. So Nawab Hussain Shah asked Sanatan Goswami, why don't you come to work? So Sanatan Goswami said, I'm not interested. So then he imprisoned Sanatan Goswami. But before Rupa Goswami came to Kashi, he has arranged for a bribe to be given to the in charge of the prison house, so that Sanatan Goswami can escape. So in any case, Sanatan Goswami is not here as of now. So only Rupa Goswami and Anupam Goswami. So what did they do when they saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So this is at the home of the Maharashtrian Brahmin. So from a distance, the two brothers fell down on the ground to offer obeisances, and they chanted many Sanskrit verses from the scriptures. So this is the place where Srila Rupa Goswami first time chanted his pranam mantra of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which we chant in every Mangalacharan. So that was chanted at that location. When the Lord saw Rupa Goswami offering obeisances before him, he became very much pleased and said, "My dear Rupa, please get up." The Lord then informed Rupa Goswami of the causeless mercy of Krishna upon him. For Krishna had just delivered him from the materialistic way of life, which is simply based on pound, shilling, pence. So for Rupa Goswami, this was a lifetime moment. It's like when Akrura, he was serving under a Dushta Raja, he was serving under a cruel king, Kamsa. And when Akrura, for the first time, he came to Vrindavan, and he had that in his heart that I will now be able to see Krishna with my eyes. So the way that Akrura rolled in the dust of Vrindavan, that is so nice to hear. It is so beautiful to hear Akrura was rolling in the dust of Vrindavan. Because he understood, now my material life has come to an end. Now I am about to get a darshan of Krishna himself. And when Krishna will see me, Krishna will take my hands in his hands. Krishna will hold my hands. And he will ask me, how are you? And when Krishna asks me, how are you? That will be the success of my life. Dear devotees, all of us also want this thing. That someday Krishna should take our hands in his hands. And he should look into our eyes. And he should ask, how are you? So that moment had arrived for Srila Rupa Goswami. And then, because it is called as Kushal Prashna. In Hindi, we say, kisi ka kushal puchna. This is basic courtesy. When somebody comes, we ask them, how are you? But we want that Bhagavan should ask us our kushal. How are you? So that moment had arrived for Srila Rupa Goswami. So, Prabhupada says that the Lord accepted the brothers as his devotees, and he cited a verse from the scriptures stating that the Lord will not accept a Brahmana who has studied the 4 Vedas if he is not a devotee. But he will accept someone from a very low family if he is a pure devotee. So, Madbhakto Shvapachodhika. This is the verse which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted. That my devotee, if he comes from a dog-eating family, still Adhika is greater. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced both brothers, because both brothers, why did he embrace both of them? Both brothers were feeling very low, and they were working under Nawab Hussain Shah. And this Nawab Hussain Shah was number 1 Yavan, Malech, cow eater. So every day you go to the office, and there that Malech is sitting on the throne, and he is eating so many undesirable foodstuffs, and then he asks, you cannot perform, it's such a difficult life, you cannot perform even your Sandhya Bandhan properly in such a kingdom. And then sometimes the Sandhya Bandhan is done, sometimes it is done late because there's so many duties, and you miss out upon so many aspects of Brahminical life. Although you're born in Brahminical family, although Rupa Goswami born Gaud Saraswat Brahman, Yajurvedi, Shukla Yajurvedi, Gaud Saraswat Brahman from Karnataka. That's his family lineage. His original family Pravar, his name is Jagat Guru Sarvagya. His ancestor, Jagat Guru Sarvagya, who had memorized the entire Yajurveda. And when you are a descendant of such a personality, and then for so many years in your life you are worked under Nawab Hussain Shahi Sarkar. And when Nawab Hussain Shah would ask, to Rupa Goswami, Dabir Khas, is this work done? Kaam hua kya? So Dabir Khas has to say, Ji Huzur. So that is Ji Huzuri of Nawab Hussain Shah made Rupa Goswami feel that I am not, worthy of being a Brahmana. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew this feeling of humility in the heart of Sri Rupa Goswami. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu drove away his feelings of lowliness by embracing him, by accepting him as his own. And then he touched their heads with his lotus feet. So, dear devotees, before taking bath in the Ganga, you are blessed with the lotus feet from whom Ganga has arisen. What more is needed? So Srila Rupa Goswami at that very moment was convinced that all my purpose of visiting Prayag is successful. Because the purpose of visiting Prayag was to take a bath in the Ganga, in the confluence. Now, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has placed his feet directly on my head. And now my Magh Snan is done. So, blessed in this way, they offered prayers. The prayer they offered was Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pratayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurtashe Namah. Prabhupada says Srila Rupa Goswami also recited a verse, and this verse is later found in Govinda Lilamritam. Your devotees see such an esoteric book, Govinda Lilamritam. We get to study it when we are studying Chaitanya Caritamrita. So all glories to Chaitanya Caritamrita, which opens the windows of Govinda Lilamritam. So this is the verse in the Govinda Lilamritam. Yo jnanamattam bhuvanam dayalur ullaghayanapyakarot pramattam swaprema sampad sudhayadbhuteham Shri Krishna Chaitanya mamum prapadye. Yo ajnanamattam is that personality who yo ajnanamattam bhuvanam, who saw that this bhuvanam, this world was ajnanamattam, was maddened by ignorance. It was suffering from a terrible, maddening disease of ignorance. But Dayalur, he is very merciful. Ullaghayan, and he was, while curing this disease, the term Ullaghayan means while curing this disease, api akarot pramattam, he took them in the other direction. He made them maddened again. What a verse. So the world was suffering from madness. It was on this side of the spectrum. It was suffering from madness, and it was suffering from ignorance, and the suffering was so much that the suffering caused madness. And Shri Krishna Chaitanya not only cured it, but he also took it to the other extreme and made them mad out of happiness. How did he do that? Swaprema sampat sudhaya. Adbhuta. So adbhuteham. So swaprema sampat sudhaya. So by the nectarian wealth of his own love. So Shri Krishna Chaitanyam amam prapadye. So I surrender to this Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Very nice verse. So then what happened is, after this incident, because there were many Brahmanas who used to invite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. See, in those days there was this culture that if some sannyasi is there, we will invite him. Why to invite sannyasis? Because it's there's given that sannyasi is a representative of Narayan. And when a sannyasi comes to our home, it is as if Shri Narayan has come to our home. So many people would invite sannyasis, and Sri Vallabh Bhatt also invited. So he invited the Lord to go to the other side of Ganga, so to cross the Ganga, and the Lord went with him. So Srila Rupa Goswami now started associating with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Rupa Goswami would stay with him 24 hours. Like Rupa Goswami would say, Nindadi Shunya Hridamipsita Sangalabhya. Stay always with that Uttam Adhikari, who is free from the tendency to criticize others. And that person who is fully fixed in Krishna Bhajan, that person stay 24 hours with him, if that person allows it. So Rupa Goswami stayed, and Rupa Goswami stayed on a place called Dasaswamedh Ghat. So Dasaswamedh means 10 Ashwamedh Yagyas. So Dasha Ashwamedh. And at this place, Dasha Ashwamedh Ghat, Rupa Goswami spent 10 days. So it's a very wonderful coincidence that at the place where there were 10 Ashwamedh Yagyas performed, he stayed for 10 days and learned something which is much more useful than 10 Ashwamedh Yagyas. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Dear devotees, this is the time when Gaudiya Vaishnavism is being planted in the heart of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is taking his Mano Abhishta, what is dear to him in his heart, and planting it in the heart of Srila Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami knows very well how to take care of that seed and how to turn it into a big tree which will give its fruits all around the world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the idea of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Dear devotees, a question should be asked. I want to ask a question. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu means the nectarian ocean of bhakti or nectarian ocean of devotion. So an ocean has some physical location in this world. So where exactly is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu located? Which place is geographically, in which place is Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu located? So can anybody try to answer my question? Where exactly in this universe is Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu located? On which planet is Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu located? So there is an answer which says Radha Kund. Nice. Earth. Very nice. So Kirtida Sundari Mataji, are you there on the call?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm there.
Okay, Mataji. So can you try, Mataji, to tell us where exactly is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu located?
In the heart of Srila Rupa Goswami.
Yes, that's the correct answer. It is located in the heart of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. That is the geographical location of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But who put that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu there in the heart of Srila Rupa Goswami? So that was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who instructed Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Srila Rupa Goswami also, Prabhupada describes ahead, that Srila Rupa Goswami has given credit to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the verse in which Srila Rupa Goswami has given credit to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hridiyasya preranaya Hridi yasya preranaya pravartitoham varakarupopi pravartitoham varakarupopi tasya harihi padakamalam Vande Chaitanya Devasya Vande Chaitanya Devasya. So, Hridi Yasya Preranaya, in my heart, by whose motivation, by whose inspiration, Pravartitoham, Rupa Goswami wrote, I am engaged in writing. Although I am Varaka Rupa, I am most lamentable Rupa. Varaka means a most lamentable person. Jiva Goswami says that he wants to reinterpret this term Varaka because it doesn't suit Rupa Goswami. Although Rupa Goswami is humbly calling himself Varak, Jiva Goswami says, I don't like this term because, Rupa Goswami's humility is nice, but as disciples, we should not take Varak to mean, lamentable. So anyways, for the time being, what Rupa Goswami wrote was Varaka Rupa. I'm very lamentable Rupa. Still, I am engaged in writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by whose guidance. Tasya Harehe Padakamalam. That Hari is lotus feet. Chaitanya Devasya. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. One day I offer my respects and my glories, my obeisances to that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. So Jiva Goswami says in the commentary to this verse, Varaka, Varam, Vara, A, Ka. He breaks it down. Vara, A, Ka. Varam, A, Kayati, Shabdayate. Iti. Varam, A. Varam means the greatest. A. Samyak, the greatest people, glorify him. Or he produces the best sound vibrations in the universe. That is known as Varaka. This is the interpretation of the term which Jiva Goswami gives. Anyways, so Prabhupada describes ahead, beginning his 10 days of continuous instruction to Rupa Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Dear Rupa, the science of devotional service is like a great ocean, and it's not possible to show you entire length and breadth. So see, this is a very nice teacher. Sometimes the teacher wants to micromanage his disciple. The teacher wants to do till the disciple does exactly to the last detail that, I want. Till that point, I will not give up instructing him. So that's not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's style of instruction. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave a roadmap to Srila Rupa Goswami. So he says it's not possible to show you entire length and breadth. But I will show you the nature of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And it is Rupa Goswami who developed the entire idea by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the original seed, the original concepts are given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the entire idea is developed by Srila Rupa Goswami. So this is a very good combination because, sometimes when we say that the disciple has to follow nicely, to follow nicely doesn't mean that just spoon feed everything to the disciple and the disciple doesn't have to use his intelligence. Sometimes we tell people you have to become such a disciple, you don't have to look left or right, just what the guru tells you do, like this. Then the disciple cannot develop maturity. In order to develop maturity, the disciple should learn how to solve problems by himself. Or as Prabhupada used to say, you have to learn how to fly your own plane. So that's maturity. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expected that maturity from Srila Rupa Goswami. So anyways, moving ahead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then explained, and Prabhupada says, that in this Brahmanda there are innumerable living entities. And, these living entities are traveling from one part of the universe to other, from one species to other, in 84 lakh species of life. But all of these living entities are atomic parts and parcels. And it is quoted, Prabhupada says, Svetashvatar Upanishad was quoted. Balagra Shata Bhagasya Shatadha Kalpitasya Cha Bhago Jiva Savikya Sa Chanantyaya Kalpate. So if the tip of the hair is divided into 10,000 parts, then that is the length and breadth of the soul. So actually, it's not that if you divide the tip of a hair into 10,000 parts, you will be able to see the soul. It's just an approximate dimension of the soul. So actually, a soul doesn't have material dimensions. But to give a rough idea, the verse gives an approximation. The intended meaning of the verse is that the spirit soul is non-material and it cannot be measured. That is the intended meaning. Not that the spirit soul has a material dimension to it. So many supporting verses were quoted. Bhagavatam 11, 16, 11 and 10th canto was quoted. Many of these verses were quoted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then pointed out that amongst these living entities, there are two types of living entities. And Prabhupada calls them the eternally liberated and the eternally conditioned. So this is very important, eternally liberated and eternally conditioned. So eternally liberated are those jivas who have since time immemorial turned their face towards Krishna. These living entities have no experience of the material world. They are always protected by Yogamaya. They never had to suffer materially. So they are Nitya Mukta. That is the meaning of Nitya Mukta. And then there are those who were averse to Bhagavan, who did not want to become devotees of Bhagavan. So they are known as Nitya Baddha, eternally conditioned. Nitya Baddha has never seen the spiritual world, and the Nitya Mukta has never seen the material world. This is the difference between both of them. The Nitya Baddha never sees the spiritual world, and the Nitya Mukta never sees the material world. So then Prabhupada says the Nitya Baddha, eternally conditioned, can be classified into two types: Jangam and Sthavar, moving and non-moving. So those that remain in one place are known as Sthavar, and non-moving are known as, and those which move are known as Jangam, or moving entities. Then there are amongst those, amongst the moving entities, those that fly, those that swim, those that walk. Amongst millions of them, there are very few human beings, 4 lakh human beings. And amongst many of those human beings, most are totally ignorant about spiritual life, unclean in their habits. They don't know that every day you have to take a bath. So unclean in their habits. They have no faith in the existence of Bhagavan. They are living like animals, basically. So very rarely, we will find somebody who is Arya. And this is one important reason why Krishna usually appears in a civilization of Aryas. Why do all incarnations of Krishna appear in Arya civilization? Because Krishna will appear, in that place where the 6 limbs of the Vedas are intact. In that place where the 6 seasons are intact. In that place where the 6 bhojan rasas, the 6 flavors of food are intact. In that place where people are trying to win over the 6 enemies, only in that place will Bhagavan appear with his 6 qualities. Try to understand why does Bhagavan appear mainly in Bharatvarsha? Because Bharatvarsha is civilization of Aryas. And Arya is somebody who is inquiring, who has Brahma Jigyasa. He has this Jigyasa, this inquiry, that I want to understand Brahma, the absolute truth. So for this reason, Bhagavan appears in Arya Sabhyata. Otherwise, there is no other purpose of appearing. Paritranaya sadhuna. Where there sadhus, he will appear. So if that first clause of appearance is not fulfilled, paritranaya sadhuna, why should he appear? So like this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then described that out of so many Aryas, there are few who are Gyanis, who are on the platform of Gyan, who understand Vedanta, philosophy. Out of those Gyanis who understand Vedanta, very few become Jivan Mukta. And although they're Jivan Mukta, still they don't come anywhere near a Krishna Bhakta. Because a Krishna Bhakta is much superior to all of these Gyanis. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described who is a Krishna Bhakta. Basically, a Krishna Bhakta is, free from all material desires. Is basically Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam Bhakti Rut. A follower of this verse is actually a Krishna Bhakta. So in this way he described, and he quoted a verse, Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvari mahamuni. Muktanam api siddhanam, even amongst liberated, perfected people, Narayana parayana, a person who is dedicated to Narayana, sudurlabha, very rare, prashantatma, very peaceful at heart, kotishvapi mahamuni. Among millions also, only one will be found. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was explaining. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained how one becomes such a Vishnu. So he becomes by the grace of Krishna and by the Guru. One gets Brahmanda Brahmite Kun Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Pich. So if one gets the favor of Bhagavan or of a Vaishnava, then one gets that Bhakti Lata Pich. And he quoted the example of the great sage Narad in his previous life, who was favored by the Vedantis who were devotees. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was describing how one can achieve bhakti by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. When the Guru gives that Bhakti Lata Bij in the heart, the sadhaka becomes the mali, the gardener. So the sadhaka has to practice watering the tree. When the sadhaka practices watering the tree, the creeper starts growing. And the creeper starts growing, he has to keep watering. Watering here is compared to Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran, three main activities. To hear, to chant, to remember. These things should go on continuously. So then that creeper starts growing. The aim is that it should grow, it should pierce Brahma Jyoti, enter the spiritual world and take shelter at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Krishna. So when that happens, the living entity has attained perfection of life, Sampatti Dasha. So that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving in that analogy of the creeper. Then he told Rupa Goswami there was many dangers. Sometimes an animal may come to eat or destroy the plant. So just as you take this analogy of a plant is very, very nice because it applies to most of the things of bhakti. Sometimes a wild elephant comes and attacks it and it can destroy it. So Vaishnava Aparadh is what that elephant is. And it can destroy the creeper of bhakti. Creeper is very delicate. It can be destroyed by a Vaishnava Aparadh. Similarly, if you overwater it, then also, it can wilt away, because if you do too much of rules and regulations, that also, niyamagraha. If you don't water it, again niyamagraha. So all these things were explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when it grows, you have to protect it against offenses, aparadhs, Vaishnava aparadh, Nam aparadh, 10 Nam aparadhs, which we all know. That Satam Ninda, Shruti Shastra Nindanam, Guru Avyagya. So all these 10 aparadhs are mentioned in the Padma Purana. So these 10 were described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Srila Rupa Goswami. So Prabhupada describes all of these 10 offenses, and most of us know about these 10 offenses and we should repeat them daily. So besides that, there were some other factors which can destroy the creeper. One is you can destroy the creeper by some extra growing weeds of material desires. So pratishtha, labh, puja, etc. A large number of disciples. And then one forgets that one is a sadhaka. And then one becomes fully attached to these things and then loses his or her bhajan. So like that he was describing. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to, describing actual bhakti, basically what one should do. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam. Accept only what is favorable, reject what is unfavorable. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was describing 64 limbs of bhakti. So yavadarthanuvartita, to accept only as much as is needed for one's bodily maintenance, etc. So in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued explaining bhakti. Finally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained Anyabhilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karmadi Anavritam completely. And finally, the aim of bhakti is not mukti. One should not desire liberation out of performing bhakti. The aim is not to get mukti. The aim is to get seva. And if mukti comes as a side effect and if it is favorable to seva, then we accept it. We don't completely reject all muktis. One type of mukti we reject, which is sayujya. But if remaining 4 types of muktis, if they are favorable to our bhakti, then we accept them. So this was being explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's very interesting in this part. So then there are 3 stages of bhakti: sadhan, bhav, and prem. So sadhak dasha, bhav dasha, prem dasha. And that is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So this chapter basically is a roadmap of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, one gradually, develops the stage of bhav. So bhav, after bhav, there comes prema. Then after prema comes rag, anurag, mahabhav, etc. So it's compared to the thickening of sugarcane juice. Then sugarcane juice turns into sugar. Then sugar turns into mishri, rock candy. Then mishri turns, even further crystallized candy. So refined candy. So like this. So in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described that when one actually becomes situated on the transcendental platform, that is the platform of bhava or prema, then he becomes steady. Till one is not situated on bhava, his progress is unsteady. And Prabhupada himself says, unless one is so situated, his position is not steady and he may fall down. So anybody who is not situated on bhava, so every chance of falling down. When one is actually situated transcendentally, there is no fear of falling down. So after bhav, no fear of falling down. This stage is technically called sthayi bhav. So predominant bhav in the heart. So then there are further development, the further factors of bhakti ras, vibhav, anubhav, sattvic bhav, vyabhichari bhav. When these ingredients are added, they nourish the sthayi bhav and it produces ras. So what is ras basically? Ras is nothing but sthayi bhav. Sthayi bhav is the predominant emotion within the heart of the realized devotee. It is nourished by various other factors, vibhav, anubhav, sattvic bhav, vyabhichari bhav. And when that happens, the ras is generated, the experience of ras happens, experience of bhakti ras takes place, and the devotee's life is successful. That is the purpose of human life, to experience bhakti ras. So when that happens, that bhakti ras can put even Brahmananda, the joy of impersonal liberation, to shame. It can put Brahmananda to shame. That is the quality of bhakti ras. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was describing. Then he described the various, anubhavs: dancing, rolling, singing, clapping, thundering, yawning, breathing heavily, forgetting maryada, social conventions, drooling, laughing, shaking the head, hiccups, etc. Sometimes these appear in devotees, but one should try to hide these symptoms because in a society of devotees, it can lead to some disturbance. So privately. See, earlier devotees were not, there were not millions of devotees organized under one name. Today there are millions of devotees organized under one name. And suddenly one of the devotees starts showing some symptoms like this. It can cause disturbance, as well as there are some who may be not so happy with that devotee showing such symptoms. So sometimes there are devotees, but they feel some envy towards another devotee who is showing such symptoms. So best not to show these symptoms in front of everybody. So that is the sum and substance of exhibiting this in front of the Bhakta Samaj. Previously in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, they would cry and laugh sometimes openly, no problem. People would understand. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, cried loudly in Jagannath temple, fell down, and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya understood what it is. And it was much easier back then because small Samaj, small society, and more informal dealings. So, but today some more precaution has to be taken. So then back to the topic, there are 5 rasas: Bhakti rasas, Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras. It's not Sakhyaras, it's Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained those 5 rasas. What is Shantaras? Shantaras is basically the Sthai Bhavi Shantarati. The predominant emotion is Shantarati. When Shantarati is nourished by Vibhav, Anubhav, Satvik Bhav, Vyabhichari Bhav, it turns into Shantaras. And then second is Dasya Ras. The Sthai Bhav is called Dasyarati. So Dasyarati means the emotion of being a servant, emotion of servitude. When it is nourished by Vibhav, Anubhav, Satvik Bhav, Vyabhichari Bhav, then the Sthai Bhav, Dasyarati, becomes Dasyaras. Similarly, Sakhyarati. Sakhyarati means there is the predominant Sthai Bhav, Sakhyarati. When it is nourished by Vibhav, Anubhav, Satvik Bhav, Vyabhichari Bhav, it becomes Sakhyarati. So like this. Fourth is Vatsalyarati, the predominant emotion of parenthood. This is the Sthai Bhav. When this Sthai Bhav is nourished by Vibhav, Anubhav, Vyabhichari Bhav, Satvik Bhav, it becomes Vatsalyaras. And last is Madhurarati. Madhurarati is the Sthai Bhav. When it is nourished by Vibhav, Anubhav, Satvik Bhav, Vyabhichari Bhav, it becomes Madhuraras. And like this. So there are 7 secondary rasas also: Hasya, Raudra, Adbhut, Bhayanak, Veer, Jugupsa, etc. So there are 7 secondary rasas, 5 primary and 7 secondary. 5 plus 7, 12. A totality of 12 bhakti rasas, in which 5 are primary, Mukhya, 7 are secondary, Gauna. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave examples of all the Shanta Bhaktas. What is Shantarati? Shanta devotees in Shantaras are Navayogendras, 4 Kumaras. Devotees in Dasyaras are Krishna's servants, Raktak, Chitrak, Patrak, Hanuman. They are all, and devotees in Sakhyaras. And there are 2 types of Sakhya, Vishramba and Sambrama. Vishramba is confident Sakhya. You can put your arms around Krishna's neck, that sort of. So those are Sridama, Sudama, etc. And Sambrama is when you are a friend, but you know Krishna is the Lord. So that is Arjun in Dwarka, etc. And then there is Vatsalyaras. Vatsalya is parenthood. Parenthood also, 2 types. The one which is enjoyed by Nanda and Yashoda, and the one which is enjoyed by Vasudeva and Devaki. So there is a difference in both types of parenthoods. And finally, there is Madhurya. So Madhurya also, 2 types: Madhurya Pradhan, Aishwarya Pradhan. So Madhurya Pradhan is Gopis, Aishwarya Pradhan is Dwaraka Patta Mahishis, the queens of Dwarka. So all these devotees have so many variations of their rasa. Krishna loves to exchange ras with all of these. So this dear devotees is, in short, a summary of this chapter. All other examples are there, in which specific examples are there of all the rasas, but I'll not get into the details of all these examples. But if you want, you can study all these examples. This was just a summary of the first chapter. I'm very thankful that I was invited by Kirtida Sundari Mataji, Priti Vilasini Mataji, and Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Thank you so much for kindly inviting me here. And I'm very honored that I could speak on this very wonderful book of Srila Prabhupada. I had read many years ago, but this was very nice revision of the same. Thank you so much. Yadatra Skalitam Kinchit Vidwan Saha Purayantu Tat Yadatra Saushthavam Kinchit Tat Guru Reva Mene. If there was anything which I spoke which was incorrect, please, all of you are learned devotees, please correct it. But if there was anything nice, if you like something, please know it belongs to my Guru Janas. It belongs to Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It doesn't belong to me. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. With pranams. What a wonderful session. Please forgive me for my voice. I'm having some throat problem. So it was extremely wonderful, I should say. And the way you covered the entire chapter and also gave us the homework that, we should also go and read this entire chapter. So just these classes is, they will give us the synopsis, but rest is up to us when we have to go deep into it and we should read it. So that was really wonderful. I hope I can imbibe that instruction. So Prabhu, I have two questions in the entire presentation. But before that, I will also say that your Bhakti Rasamrita classes and daily your realizations on Damodar is awesome. Actually, that's what is still helping me, or, I would say that I'm glued to Facebook, because in Kartik, I was like, I don't want to be on Facebook, but just because of those, realizations, I always open Facebook early in the morning just to see what you have shared.
Hare.
And that's awesome.
So, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much, because, it's a big risk to try and post something, because usually such things should be shared only with Sahriday. And we don't know if everyone is a Sahriday. And I have had some bad experience also. But
no, Prabhu, the way you handled your bad experience, that was awesome, I should say. Nobody else could do it. Seriously. Nobody else could do it. So actually, I really loved that comment. And anyways, it's awesome, Prabhu. So don't worry. Yes, there were people in Dwapar Yuga who don't accept Krishna, who was the Supreme Personality, appeared specially, but still people didn't recognize him. So what to talk about we and you. So yes, Prabhu.
Yes, please ask your question, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. So my question is that you were reading this paragraph. In that paragraph, there is mentioned that there are symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, and two symptoms I couldn't get it. One is hiccuping, and second is yawning. How come yawning? Because yawning we always associate with mode of ignorance, right?
Yeah, these are not sattvic bhavs. Sattvic bhavs are symptoms of ecstasy. Romanchakam, Ashru. The sattvic bhavs are 8. Ashta sattvic vikar. But these are anubhavas. They are the effects of experiencing rasa. I hope you're able to understand. There are some causes of experiencing rasa, and there are some effects.
Yeah.
So that which follows the bhav is known as anubhav. So, for example, somebody is experiencing Sakhyaras. Now, Sakhyaras, in Sakhyaras, there is a Sakha of Bhagavan who wrestled with Bhagavan. Now, after wrestling with Bhagavan, he feels tired. So, after experiencing Sakhyaras with Bhagavan, he feels tired, and the natural anubhav, the after effect of experiencing that ras is yawning, starts to yawn. So these are some after effects of experiencing ras. So they are not ecstasies, sattvic bhavs, but they are after effects.
Yeah, even I couldn't relate to the after effect of yawning also, but as you explained, it makes sense, Prabhu. And my another question, Prabhu, is about the Sakhyaras. That when we say the Navavada Bhakti, like Shravanam, Kirtanam, the epitome of everybody, of each and every limb is mentioned. And for Sakya, it is said Arjun. Why Arjun? Though he was not 100% in the mood of Sakya, why not Madhu Mangal and Sridham?
Right. So, Srila Rupa Goswami, it is said that when in Padyavali he was listing the names of 9 devotees who attained Bhagavan through 9 processes. So, Krishnapti Resham Para. So, these devotees attained Krishna's association because of executing bhakti in these 9 ways. So, but for other sakhas, they have already attained it. It's not that they attained, it's not that their history is narrated in the current Mahabharata or something like that. So therefore, the selection of the sakha is done in such a way that anyone who has read the common Vedic literature will be able to understand that who is an example of a person who has attained Krishna through Sakhya. That verse doesn't say that these people are the topmost examples, but these people are the ideal examples of these specific 9 processes. So that's all that the verse is, nothing else.
Yes, Prabhu, makes sense. And one last question. I'm sorry, I'm taking everybody's time. What is the actual difference between Sakya Rasa and Sakya Rasa? Or Sakya is altogether an incorrect word to say?
Sakya is incorrect.
Okay.
The term for Sakya Ras in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is Preyo Bhakti Ras. So the actual original term is Preyo Bhakti Ras. And in Chaitanya Caritamrita, it gets, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also, it gets termed as Sakhya. And sometimes because of when we read in Roman, we turn A into A and A into A. So therefore, Sakhya becomes Sakhya. Because, people have the habit of reading Dasya. And after, because there is A in Dasya, immediately then they think that the A in the Sakhya should also have Sakhya. So therefore, they turn Sakhya into Sakhya. But actually, it is Dasya and Sakhya. And in wherever you see in the original books, you will find it as Sakhya with the short A. So that is the answer.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you for opening up this wonderful session. And you are the first speaker of this teachings of Lord Chaitanya. We are so blessed. Thank you for this wonderful opening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Priti Vilasni Mataji, would you like to go next?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think the volume is low. Can you?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a very, very fantastic class. It's so nice that you started this session on a very sweet note. It was very beautiful to hear the entire class. I really wanted, one thing that really stuck to me is about how Krishna actually appeared in Aryavata and why specifically, and the reason of these 6 different 6 things. So my question was, Prabhu, so these different 6 things, like you said, 6 seasons. People
6 seasons are in place in Bharatvarsha.
Uh-huh.
Because the 6 seasons come according to time in a timely fashion. They appear in Bharatvarsha. The 6 flavors are preserved. 6 bhojan rasas. Katu, Amla, Tikta, Kashaya, Madhura, etc. These 6 are preserved in Bharatvarsha to very nice degree, to the best possible degree.
And then you, so you were mentioning about the 6 days, the 6 seasons, and then the people trying to conquer 6, lust, anger, greed, all of these 6 anarthas. And then you also mentioned about what, Prabhu? I forgot.
The 6 limbs of the Vedas are intact in Bharatvarsha. The
6 limbs are intact. Okay, so my question there is, of course, are all of these directly related to the 6, like you said, the 6 qualities? I mean, Bhagwan, is that the reason why?
It's an alankaric way of saying
Okay.
Bhagwan only appears with all his 6 qualities, where all these 6 qualities are being maintained.
Oh, so it's like a poetic
Yes,
connotation.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I was wondering how it was like that. Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. The entire class was so fantastic. And yeah, it was really, really nice to meditate on all the points that you mentioned. Hare Krishna.
Anuradha Mataji, please go ahead and unmute yourself, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for such a wonderfully explaining, Prabhu. I have few questions. Some are relevant, some are not exactly relevant. At your convenience, please reply, Prabhu. The first, so first is, who is Ballava Bhatt, Prabhu, that who's inviting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go on the other side of Ganga?
So he is a Brahmana. He is a Brahmana who was acquainted with Rupa Goswami as well as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he used to stay in Kashi along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there.
Okay.
So, yes.
So this is not the same, I mean, because the name similar to Rupa Goswami's brother, so I just don't know.
No.
Yeah. And the other question is, in Chaitanya Caritamrita, we read like Jiva Goswami, he was punished by Rupa Goswami. Is it twice? Because in Chaitanya Caritamrita, so far I remember, we read it once, but the incidents we have read two. Once when he corrected one scholar on behalf of Rupa Goswami, whom Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami said, okay, we don't want to fight, we give up, you are the best. And he was just going around with the certificate, and Jiva Goswami corrected him. That is one incident when Rupa Goswami punished him. And there is one more time, I don't remember this person's name, who got upset or got confused with the Bhukti Mukti verse being, Bhukti Mukti being witches. And then again, Rupa Goswami punished Jiva Goswami. So these are two incidents, but I remember reading only one, Prabhu, in Chaitanya Caritamrita. Where am I getting confused, Prabhu?
So the thing is, Mataji, historically it is said that Srila Jiva Goswami was only sent out once from Vrindavan. So correction may have happened many times, but only once he was sent out of Vrindavan. So that was when the scholar took an objection to Bhukti Mukti Spriha. The objection itself was not correct. Jiva Goswami correctly understood that the objection is incorrect. But still Jiva Goswami, corrected him. Rupa Goswami did not like that. So that was the time when Rupa Goswami sent him out of Vrindavan. And the other time, Rupa Goswami may have given some minor correction, but never sent him out of Vrindavan twice.
Okay. Was that person also somebody like Ballava Prabhu, who was Ballava Bhatt or somebody?
Some people say that he was Vallabha Bhatta, but there is no fixed biographical source about that. So it's, some manuscripts say it was Vallabha Bhatta or something like, but it's not recorded anywhere who that exact person.
So this is not the same Ballava Bhatta whom we are mentioning here, who helped.
Certainly doesn't look like it, but definitely such an incident has occurred. Whether that scholar was Vallabha Bhatta or not, that's a detail. But the incident had certainly occurred.
Okay. My second question, another question is, Prabhu, that Nitya Baddha, Natya Mukta that you explained, in that you said that Nitya Baddha doesn't have any experience of the spiritual world. Did I get that correct, Prabhu?
Yes.
So in 100. That case, So in that case, when we said that, the Nitya Baddhas, I mean, we are told to be the Nitya Baddha, we were living with Krishna, we felt envious and we came down. So then how does that work, Prabhu? Will you please explain?
What should I say?
Say the truth, Prabhu, say the truth.
The truth is that nobody falls from the spiritual world.
So we were already fallen. We were
never in the spiritual world.
Okay.
We have never had a sthai bhav in relationship with Krishna. We have the potential for having sthai bhav. We have the container for sthai bhav. Every jiva is created equal, because every jiva has the container for sthai bhav. But not necessary that every jiva's container is filled. Some jiva voluntarily chooses not to fill his container. Some jiva chooses to fill his container. Those jivas whose container of heart is filled with a bhakti specific sthai bhav, they attain a sthai sambandha with Bhagwan in the spiritual world, a fixed relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world. Maya cannot overcome their prema. And therefore, there is no falling from the spiritual world. There is absolutely no falling from the spiritual world. The Vedanta Sutra and the acharyas of all the Vaishnava Sampradayas very boldly declare in the last sutra of Vedanta Sutra, Anavritti Shabdad, Anavritti Shabdad. There is no coming down from the spiritual world because Shabda says. There is no coming back from the spiritual world because Shabda says. Because Shabda Praman says. So we are those living entities who were never in the spiritual world. For the first time when we experience Bhakti Ras, that's the time our container will be filled. That's the time when we will have our first darshan of Krishna. And once we experience life with Krishna and we go back to Godhead, from that time onwards, we will not have any more material experience. We will become Nitya Mukta. So that is the answer to your query.
That's like a whole new revelation. So it's like, though we don't have the experience so far, but once we have it, we will also become Jivan Nitya Muktas. Yeah. So
Yeah, so
we have the potential.
I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question now. Let's say you were in the spiritual world. Let's hypothetically speaking, let's say you were in the spiritual world. So that means you already had love of Krishna, right?
Yes.
So if you already had love of Krishna, so that love of Krishna is now no more existing in your heart, Mataji? What happened to that love? What happened to that love of Krishna? You tell me. You are the one who
asked you the question. I don't know, Prabhu. I mean, there might be something, but I don't know. Prabhu. I'm sure you will have a different answer.
Did you lose your love of Krishna? Did it get covered by something?
Mahamaya? That's what.
If any object of the spiritual world gets covered by Maya, and if Maya is capable of covering any object of the spiritual world, then that will become known as Mayavad.
Correct.
So,
I get it.
how did your prema, how did your eternal relationship with Krishna become covered by Maya? Was Maya stronger? How did Maya enter into the spiritual world? When we say, Yaha Krishna Taha Nai Mahaya Radhikar, where there is Krishna, there is no existence of Maya.
Yes. Yeah, I get your point.
So logically, there is only one answer. That we were never in the spiritual. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, that answers even more questions, Prabhu. Thank you so much for that. And then I have one last one. This is not at all relevant, but this is a meaning that I have been, trying to find. So this is a verse that is Guruve Gaurachandra. That verse, Prabhu, the meaning wherever I find, I feel it is not complete. So do you have a little time to quickly say the meaning of it? If you do, please. Otherwise, it's okay to skip, Prabhu.
Gurave unto Shri Guru, Gaurachandraya unto Shri Gaurachandra, Radhikayai unto Srimati Radharani, Tadalaye unto all the friends of Srimati Radharani, Krishnaya unto Krishna, Krishna Bhaktaya unto the direct devotees of Krishna, Tad Bhaktaya unto the devotees of those devotees of Krishna, Namo Namaha, repeated obeisances.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the association. We need more, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Next, Parima Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. First of all, thank you so much for a really wonderful nectarian class, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams to you. It was so nice hearing from you, especially on for the first session of this teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Prabhuji, I had this question. It just, I don't know if, I should be even thinking like that. But Prabhuji, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami were working for a cow eater, meat eater. Is it considered sinful to work for a meat eater? And if it is sinful, then most of us are sinful, because most of us living in foreign countries and even in India, we do happen to work for meat eaters. So what do you say to that?
So actually, in association with a meat eater, there are some things that happen. That there are 6 activities that take place. Prabhupada describes that there are 6 types of people who get implicated in meat eating. So one is one who cuts the meat, one who transports the meat, one who sells the meat, one who purchases the meat, one who cooks the meat, one who eats the meat. So if we are involved in any of this activity directly, then definitely we will get implicated in the sin of meat eating. But if we are not directly involved in this, then still there is some chance of saving ourselves. So that is the answer.
Okay, Prabhu. So how do you think we can save? By chanting or?
By associating as less as possible with meat eaters directly, and by staying in association of Vaishnavas, and by doing our Harinam nicely. But one should not think that by chanting I am driving away the sin of associating with me. One should never chant Harinam with the thought process that I am doing this to drive away some sin, because that becomes another Namaprad.
Yeah, that's true, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hari.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Next, we have Omkar Prabhuji. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandapan. Thank you for the wonderful lecture, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had some 3 questions. First was, Prabhuji, like we heard this verse, like, a Krishna Bhakta or a Narayana Parayana Bhakta is so rare among even Jivan Muktas. So what should we consider regarding ourselves? Like, we consider ourselves as a Bhakta Abhas. That is why we do not put ourselves, because we cannot see ourselves in that position. I mean, like we upon Jivan Muktas is like about thinking. So what should we consider?
The verse says Narayana Parayana, somebody who's completely dependent on Narayana. So unless we are completely Narayana Parayana or completely like an Uttam Bhakta, it's best to not consider ourselves in that category. Unless we have prema, it's best not to consider oneself in that category. Actually, it says Mukteshu Abhi, amongst all those who are liberated. So unless we are liberated, we can't fit it in the category itself. So that's what, amongst millions of liberated people, there is one who will be dedicated to Narayan. So the first qualification, we have to get liberated. So for that to happen, we should have at least prema.
Yes, Raji. And Prabhuji, I had second question. You were discussing about how a disciple should not be always spoon-fed, and he should take the responsibility to understand seriously the Shastric Siddhantas. So sometimes
Right.
what happens is, like, many individuals have different type of natures, temperament. They are not so intellectually oriented, or you may say they don't have the jigyasa or tattva jigyasa. So they sometimes quote this thing, like, many times, like Prabhupada said, if you are very simple, if you, chant with simplicity, if you only follow your spiritual master, then everything will be revealed to you. Or, I mean, such type of things. So it becomes sometimes difficult to, I mean, like we cannot say completely that this does not happen, because Prabhupada has said at some places. But how to understand that a person has to become serious? And some people may say, no, I don't want to take that intellectual rigor, or whatever it may require. So how to address that person? How will he try to, I mean, attain the...
See, Prabhu, the thing is, a devotee is sincere when he receives instructions from the Guru and when he has the required maturity to carry out the instructions of the Guru. Now, some devotees purposely just want to be spoon-fed their entire life. And they're always like, daya karo, kripa karo, daya karo, kripa karo, daya karo, kripa karo. And that's fine. But Srila Rupa Goswami has said in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that it is very rare that somebody will attain bhava simply by daya and kripa. Most people attain bhava by their sadhana. very rarely a person attains the stage of bhava by daya and kripa. But if you see, most of the people want to just to opt for daya and kripa without engaging in intelligent sadhana. What is intelligent sadhana? You understand what is Vaidhi Bhakti, what is Raganuga Bhakti. That doesn't require such a big intellectual. You don't have to be Vedanti to understand what is Vaidhi Bhakti and what is Raganuga Bhakti. What is Bhakti Ras? These are very simple concepts, but very deep. But at least for the beginner, they're simple concepts. Most people don't take an interest in it, and the lack of interest is hidden under the disguise of being a simpleton. So that is crookedness actually. You can understand, you have the capability to understand, but you purposely don't understand because you're not interested. So that is not simplicity, that's crookedness actually. It's something let Omkar, you take the role of a simple person, like a person who's pretending to be simple. And I ask you that do you want to love Krishna or do you not want to love Krishna?
Obviously, I want to.
So why are
want
you
to.
not interested in the details? Is love in the details or is love in a aerial helicopter view?
Details, obviously.
So why are you not getting down to the details?
Yes. Just true.
See, it's a very interestingly they escape by saying, I'm not scholarly. It doesn't require you to be scholarly. The entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was condensed into Chaitanya Caritamrita. At least study Chaitanya Caritamrita.
Yes, sure.
What is the definition of Ras? Omkar Prabhu.
Ras is Thai bhava, along
Wow.
with Vichari bhavas and Sattvic bhavas.
Nice, nice. You understand. Very nice. You agree that at least this much should be known or not?
Yes, it should be known.
Right. What's the difficulty? Prabhupada would say. What's the difficulty? Prabhupada knew, all the previous acharyas knew. But under the guise of being a simpleton, we are remaining ignorant. And then when we give examples of that Brahmana was holding the Bhagavad Gita upside down and he was crying and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu blessed him. Is he in the case of a person who perfected himself by sadhana or by kripa? Is a kripa siddha or sadhana siddha?
Kripa Siddha.
Yeah, but those are very rare cases. This mentioned in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. 99% are sadhana siddhas.
Yes, true. Yes, true.
Okay,
Sometimes
so
what happens, sorry.
yes.
Sometimes what happens, Prabhuji, is like, like we take to reading of Chaitanya Caritamrita, it is said that you have to read Srimad Bhagavatam before that. So what happens is normally Bhagavatam, especially second and third cantos, they involve a really deep, Vedantic concept about, really deep tattvas. And I have experienced this myself while talking with devotees. They come to this part and they say, no, I cannot go now. Like they think, I have to cross this, the ocean, great big ocean of Bhagavatam. Maybe it will take 20 years. And after that, sometime I'll start reading CC. So I mean, it becomes difficult to understand. I mean, is it the correct order?
The correct order is you should first read Chaitanya Caritamrita, then you should read Bhagavatam.
Okay.
There is a reason why a summary of Chaitanya Caritamrita is given at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that there are many people who read Srimad Bhagavatam first and Chaitanya Caritamrita later. But the real purport of Srimad Bhagavatam will be understood by a person who has first read the Charitamrita. So for this reason, Prabhupada included a complete summary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, I think 30 or 40 plus pages at the beginning of the first canto. Why put 40 plus pages of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life before one starts Bhagavatam?
Yes, sure.
So that's because
Yes,
one
sure.
should have an understanding of Bhagavatam in practice, and that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes, sure. Thank you. And
And
just
to some, let's say you go to a section of Bhagavatam which is so difficult to understand. Now, we are staying in a society where there are many devotees who can explain it to us. So why don't we go and get it explained from some devotee?
yes.
Why don't we get it simplified from some devotee?
We are not showing interest in that.
That's the reason. That's the clear reason.
Yes, true. Yes, sure. And just third question, just last simple. Prabhuji, in normal relationship, we see in this world also and in spiritual world also that every relation has some bit of, you can say a bad period or somewhat like that, or tension sometimes. So does this happen with the guru disciple relationship also? Is it good because it is said that you should have utmost respect for guru so that we do not project our material thinkings on guru? So does it happen that some tension or such
No,
things may?
no, that doesn't happen with the guru disciple relationship, because if you are a good disciple, then you will be able to adjust to the nature of the guru. And that is what the training of the disciple is, to adjust to the nature of the guru. So that is something which the disciple has to adjust. And if the disciple learns how to adjust, and then it's so nice. But that, if the disciple is not able to adjust, then what to do, Prabhu?
Yes, Shreya.
So there is a verse in Hari Bhakti Vilas, na guror apriyam kuryat, tadite pidito piva. I will show you the verse. It is in the first chapter of Hari Bhakti Vilas, in I think verse 99. Let me show you. Can you see the verse, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Shri Vishnu Smritam.
In the Vishnu Smriti, Hari Bhakti Vilas 1.99. Na guror apriyam kuryat. Never do anything unfavorable towards the guru. Taditaha pidito piva. Even if he hits you physically or gives you pain. Na avamanyeta tad vakyam. Never disregard his words. Na apriyam hi samacharet. Never think of doing something negative against him. Acharyasya priyam kuryat. Always do something favorable for the guru. Pranairapi dhanairapi. Even at the expense of your life and wealth. Karmana manasa vacha. And through your words, through your mind, through your body. Sayati paramam gatim. That disciple attains the highest destination. I hope you are able to understand. Where is the question of disagreement? The disagreement is resolved here.
Yes, sure. Yes, sure. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, very well.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very beautiful question answer session with Prabhuji. So many answers was cleared even my questions. Next, Haridas Varya Prabhuji. Please go ahead, Prabhuji. Nice to see you on the call today.
Jai Haridas
Thanks
Varya
so-
Prabhu ki jai.
Yeah. Thank you so much for Prabhu, Hariparshad Prabhu. Very wonderful churning of the nectar. Thank you very much for providing these wonderful Amrit Varsha of Chaitanya's teachings. Prabhu, I,
Mama Mahan Pramodah. Bhavatah Sangam Prapya Aham Atishayana Muditosmi. Dhanyasmi Prabhu. Mama Mahan Pramodah.
thunderwords to your lotus feet, Prabhu. Prabhu, I had one question which I was while you were reading through the purport. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very clearly differentiating between Jivan Mukta and the Krishna Bhakta.
Right.
In many places, Srila Prabhupada and also in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Rupa Goswami is defining Jivan Mukta Uchyate. He is defining as a devotee who knows to manage expertly. He is also called as Jivan Mukta. Somewhere Prabhupada writes in, I think in the 7th canto, 10th verse, 10th chapter, 14th verse. He says, a devotee.
Avastha Suchivan Mukta Sochade.
Correct. So, how is this delineation of Jivan Mukta and Krishna Bhakta? Because sometimes it's said, well, Krishna Bhakta who practices very nicely is a Jivan Mukta. So, in terms of gradations, because we are talking gradations, how do we classify this particular Jivan Mukta as a predecessor, or do we understand it differently?
So your question is, how do we understand a Jivan Mukta in Krishna Bhakti, right?
Yeah. Because the gradation was Jivan Mukta, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks about Krishna Bhakta. So is it Jivan Mukta is considered lesser, or is it
No,
on
no,
the same
no,
plane?
no. That Jivan Mukta is a Jnani Jivan Mukta.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
That's
when
good.
Rupa Goswami says, Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasagira nikulasvapi avastha so Jivan Mukta so uchyate. That is a devotee who has become Jivan Mukta. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking about that Jivan Mukta was become through Gyan. And the devotee is much more above that.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Next, we have Sureshwar Sam Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you, Prabhu, for a simple and neat, clean explanation on this chapter. Prabhuji, I had a question that was clarified before this question, but I have another question, Prabhu. Here, sometimes we hear about Dasaswamedh Yoga and Rajasuya Yajna, Prabhu. So what's the difference, Prabhu, between those two?
See, Rajasuya and Ashwamedha are two different types of Vedic sacrifices. Now, if you want to, what is the meaning of Medha? Medha means sacrifice or yagya. Ashwamedha is a sacrifice in which basically a horse is, a horse is sacrificed. And Rajasuya is a sacrifice in a specific type of sacrifice in which is done by a king. It is known as a Raj Kartavya. Raj Kartavya means it is done to establish oneself as a king. So that is, that by executing Rajasuya, one establishes himself as a Chakravarti Samrat. So that is why Yudhishthir Maharaj did a Rajasuya Yajna. And Ashwamedha is done in order to conquer others also sometimes, So that is, sometimes you leave the horse and, that horse goes and conquers all the places, then he comes back and that horse is sacrificed. So Ashwamedha and Rajasuya are two different purposes. Rajasuya's purpose is to establish oneself as an authorized Chakravarti Samrat. So that is what it is. And that's what Yudhishthir Maharaj did.
In Ramayana also we see the Ashwamedha Yajna being performed, right, Prabhu?
Ramayana also we will see, because Medha means to kill, basically.
Okay.
And, one who performs 100 of those attains the position of Indra.
Okay. Can we say Ashwamedha Yajna is a general one, Rajasuya Yajna is a specific one?
No,
Right?
there are two different specifics.
Okay.
There are two different specific duties of a king.
Mm-hmm.
Vedic duties of a king, of a Chakravarti Samrat.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. One last question, Prabhu. So we see said, right, Prabhu, in many times that Mahaprabhu's movement is Sankirtan movement, which is a very simple one. But when we see specific to this book also, it becomes very complex, Prabhu, to understand these topics, these concepts, and especially these 5 discussions between Mahaprabhu and his devotees.
It becomes difficult in the sense it's very technical.
Yeah, very technical.
Yeah, if it is technical, see, the thing is, Prabhu, Bhakti Ras is a technical subject matter. It's a slightly technical subject matter. It's not very technical like Brahma Jigyasa and Vedanta Sutra, but it's slightly technical subject matter. And experiencing Ras can be done by anybody. It doesn't require a person to know what is Bhakti Ras in order to experience Bhakti Ras. But if you have to study Bhakti Ras, if you want to understand how it is experienced, you want to study the composition of Bhakti Ras, you want to study the details of Bhakti Ras and how to attain Bhakti Ras, then you have to get into the nitty-gritties and technicalities and the fine nuances of Bhakti Ras. Now that will take some time, some effort, a lot of clarification, because I'll tell you something. When I first read Anyabhilashita Shunyam verse, there was, this is the beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The Ras section has not even started yet. It's just Bhakti is being defined. There's a big commentary by Srila Jiva Goswami. And it took 20 to 25 days to understand the entire commentary. But perseverance. After 25 days, I was, Like, yes, now I got it. 100% of the commentary I have understood. It was as if how Jiva Goswami had explained it, that way I understood it. So the bhakti ras also will take some time. Why? We are experiencing friction in some areas. To smoothen out those areas will take some time. But once it is smoothened out, it's smoothened out forever. You have that samskar now. In future lives, you will not have that friction. Once it is smoothened. So get that, we should get that out of the way by learning from some devotee who knows it. Not keep it as an obstacle throughout our life. Because if somebody asks us, like your book is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sureshwar Sham Prabhu, what is that? What is ras? What is the answer?
Yes, Prabhu. The
What is that?
experience, the experience we see when we chant nicely, the exchange that we have with the Supreme Lord, the emotions, right? So
if ras is translated as emotion,
Mhm.
then we are not getting into the exact technical definition. The exact technical definition, ras is sthai bhav. Answer. Ras is sthai bhav. What is sthai bhav? It is prag vasana. It is the vasana, bhakti vasana within the heart of the specific devotee, which has fructified into a sthai bhav, or which has fructified itself into a predominant mellow or emotion within the heart, that is called as sthai bhav. Then when it is nourished by vibhav, anubhav, vyavichari bhav, sattvic bhav, it becomes bhakti ras. Vibhavair anubhavaischa sattvicair vyavichari aniyamana swadutvam sthai bhava rasasmrita. That when sthai bhav is made juicy or flavored by vibhav, anubhav, sattvic bhav, vyavichari bhav, it becomes known as ras. But then some devotees are they become so afraid. They say, you don't need to know all these things. Just chant the 16 rounds. Fair enough, you can do that. But if you want to understand ras, then you have to understand the technicalities. See, the one thing is, the Rupa Goswami made that book for all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He expects all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas to understand the book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. If we don't want to understand ras because we are hesitant or what, that some devotees may have that attitude. And I respect all devotees, but the serious student, Prabhupada always said, serious student will study from different angles and will understand. Otherwise, after 20-25 years, people will ask, oh, you're a student of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, what is ras? And we'll say, ras is mellow. ras is not translated as mellow, ras is sthai bhav, which is nourished by other bhavas. So that, with these things, we should understand. So that is up to the serious student. It depends on how serious we are. You're obviously very serious, so you're asking the question. That's why I understand you're serious. So these technicalities it takes a lot of time, but please put the effort, because it's worth every moment spent is much better than spending time doing in the outside world, doing things of the material world. Better to have struggled for 25 days and lost, rather than have done something material. That was my aim when I studied Anyabhilashita Shunyam commentary. Better to have spent 25 days and lost everything rather than not study it and waste my time in the material world. So that we should have that determination, which I'm sure you have to. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the detailed answer. Hare Krishna. Dandavad.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Now we have Panishwari Lakshmi Mataji. Please go ahead, Mataji, with your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. And maybe you answered the question already with everybody else's questions, but I wanted to ask, wonderful class, first of all. And my question was also about Nitya Mukta, Nitya Baddha, but that was answered. But my question is more of a personal nature, in the sense of, as you're talking about studying. So many times, or I feel for myself, when I hear these classes, when I hear something that somebody has spoken about, I have this desire to learn more, to study more. And I end up going from place to place, meaning I hear a class on something and then I'll start oh, I have to start looking into Chaitanya, of course, in Chaitanya Caritamrita, look into something in the Nectar of Devotion, and then I'll start studying something there. Somebody else will say something else, and then I'll go someplace else and read something else. And I'm wondering, am I doing justice? Am I being too fickle? Should I stick with something? I mean, I am reading Srimad, I am taking Bhakti Vaibhav, so I'm studying Srimad Bhagavatam very systematically. I am doing that. I'm also reading a Krishna book on my own, but I seem to be going from book to book, from place to place. And I'm wondering if I'm being, like I said, fickle-minded. How do I do? I don't know. That's my question. I don't know if that
So
makes sense.
there's a very simple rule that better to study one book nicely rather than study 1,000 books, partially. So that is a general rule which we should understand. Better to study 4 books nicely: Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Upadeshamrita, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam nicely, rather than study every book partially and then leaving it halfway. So, and we should study mainly on our own. It is called Swa-Adhyay, Swadhyay. Bhagavad Gita says Swadhyay. So Swadhyay means self-study. Our self-study should be good enough that we should be able to make our notes and write our realizations on the topic. See, actually all the commentaries of the acharyas, when Jiva Goswami is writing his commentary, is it that he is thinking 500 years later somebody will print it and then people will read my commentary? Or are these his notes on the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Please tell me.
They're his personal notes.
Right. So the commentaries of acharyas are actually nothing but their personal notes. And sometimes they share those personal notes with others. And in every generation, devotees should have personal notes. That's how the Sampradaya moves. That's why we call ourselves Hare Krishna movement. Because in every generation, we have to move, otherwise we'll become Hare Krishna stagnant. So for that to happen, every generation should do Swadhyay, self-study, should make their own notes, write their realizations, which are consistent with the realizations of the previous acharyas. So that is what I would like to say. So even if you are hearing from many sources, it should not compromise. It should ideally not compromise our time for self-study. The self-study is where we put in the actual mental effort for understanding Krishna. And really
So it's
hearing
basic.
taking some mental austerity for Krishna is very important. To put in the mind and the brains for understanding Krishna is very important. Many of us don't take that austerity because it's being spoon-fed through a lecture. But then when it is spoon-fed through a lecture, it comes in through one ear and stays for some time, goes out through another ear, and it is not realized. It's a wow moment. Wow, it was so nice. But the details are understood in Swadhyay. In self-study, one goes through the process of reaching that conclusion. And to go through the process of reaching that conclusion is what keeps it in our mind forever. We should study the entire roadmap, not simply the conclusions. That is very important.
Thank you. And is there any particular I don't know, starting point? I mean, obviously Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So studying on your own, meaning not just reading with others, but just actually sitting down and doing homework, like in a college course.
Right. That's what Prabhupada intended those books for. Should be college exams and not formal exams. It should not become like a mark scoring. But the Siddhanta should be understood very nicely. We should be able to explain the Siddhanta to others very nicely. If we can do that, we have understood Bhagavad Gita. We have understood Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes it becomes so formal and so marks oriented. Suppose people then they will say, okay, we want to study simply for attaining marks. That's what people start doing sometimes. So that's not the purpose. The purpose is we should understand the Siddhanta very nicely and we should be able to explain it to others. That's the purpose of self-study.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the beautiful answer. Now we have Gaurangi Mataji. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Wow, I thought I had one question, but then after hearing everybody, I do have a couple of follow-ups that I really must ask you. Just on this last point about self-study, I'm wondering what you would say about the fact that, in my study of the Shastra, like especially one-on-one with somebody, who is like realized in the Shastras, I've seen the difference between reading just by myself, very seriously by myself, and reading one-on-one with somebody who has deeper insight. And I felt, and I have had the experience that, what I got from such study with another person was so much more than what I got by seriously studying on my own. So would you please comment on that?
Yeah, sure. So there is a very nice verse which I would like to speak about here. There is a verse which explains, it's a verse which is quoted in many places by many authorities. Acharyat padamadatte padam shishyah swamedhaya kalena padamadatte padam sab brahmacharibihi. Acharyat padam adatte, 1/4 of the realization comes through the acharya directly, by studying one-to-one with a person who is realized. So 1/4 comes directly by studying with the acharya. Padam shishya swamedhaya, 1/4 of the realization comes by the student's own intelligence. Kalena padam adatte, 1/4 of the realization comes only with time. Padam sab brahmachari, and 1/4 of the realization comes by studying with other students. So 1/4 by studying with the realized acharya, 1/4 through one's own intelligence, 1/4 by studying with the other students, and 1/4 only with time. That is how the knowledge is completed in a student. So you may be appreciating study with an acharya who knows the entire subject matter, who knows 10 times more than the student. Studying with such a person definitely is an immense booster to one's knowledge. But still, there are always newer perspectives in life which require one to meditate upon it and think from different angles. That takes time and that requires one's intelligence. So that is the answer to your query.
Thank you so much. Okay, and just one other follow-up type question was when you were speaking to Omkar Prabhu about studying the CC or the Bhagavatam first. I really didn't quite catch what you were saying, especially because, as Prabhu was saying, we do hear that CC is postgraduate study, which would imply that we are to do it after the Bhagavatam. I mean, I do know that, so Prabhupada spent so many pages in summarizing Lord Chaitanya's biography in the Bhagavatam. So I don't understand then why we refer to CC as postgrad if it should come before Bhagavatam.
Correct. So it's a very simple thing. Sometimes when an example is shown before showing some complex theory, that example makes it very easy to understand the theory. So the example of a perfect devotee, the theory of becoming a perfect devotee is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. But the personification of a perfect devotee is found in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after seeing the character of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he said you should study CC first, it means you should study the characteristics of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not all the technical details of Ras and everything. You should study the life and character of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before venturing into the Bhagavatam first. Because then when you are in the Bhagavatam, and then the Bhagavatam says that the devotee sometimes cries, sometimes laughs, sometimes dances like a madman and rolls on the floor. And if you don't know who such a person is, let's say you never read Chaitanya Caritamrita, and Madhav Gaurangi, you read a verse which says, Hasantyatho roditi rauti gayati unmadavan nrityati lokapaya. The devotee dances, cries loudly, shouts out, rolls on the floor. What image would come to your mind?
Yeah, of a madman.
Right. But would you have any specific devotee in your mind?
Without CC first? No.
Yes. Yes. So that's the purpose. That example helps you.
Mhm. Okay, so if a person has, I wonder if a person has mostly finished with CC, should they then stop and then begin Bhagavatam?
Bhagavatam should always continue till the end of life. Muhuraho Rasika, third verse of Bhagavatam. Every moment they should relish Bhagavatam, irrespective of whether they have relished Chaitanya Caritamrita previously, later, or whatever. They should continue relishing Srimad Bhagavatam till liberation and after liberation, even after liberation.
So therefore it's not that one should follow the other. They should go on simultaneously, no?
Right. They should go on simultaneously.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you. And now for my original question is concerned with the rasas. You were saying how the Staibhav is nourished by the other four bhavs. And this reminded me of a question that I've been having for some time concerning the definition of love or rasas. I'm referring to the first chapter in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, where Prabhupada says that the sum total of all 12 rasas is called love. So I didn't understand that actually, because that statement seems to imply that if all 12 are not present in a soul, then he cannot be called as having love for Krishna. I mean, can you just clarify this for me? That all 12 is called
Let
love?
me, yeah. Yeah. So Prabhupada says the sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Okay. So when he's saying, see, when he say, I'll point out here in which exact purport he has said, so that it's easier to understand. So he lists the 5 main and 7 secondary rasas. This is where he lists, and then he says the sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. So basically what he wants to say is that when he says sum total, doesn't mean that you combine all the 12, because some rasas don't combine with each other. So you cannot combine some rasas with some other rasas. Let me give an example. For example, there is a rasa called Bibhatsa, shock. Prabhupada says shock. Or Bhayanak, horror. So Bhayanak cannot combine with Hasya, comedy. So you can't mix these rasas, because there is a chapter in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu which says that ras maitri vairasthiti. Some rasas are friendly to each other, some rasas are inimical to each other. So there are some rasas which are inimical to each other, they don't get along with each other. So therefore, when he says sum total of all these rasas, so what he means is that the essence of every rasa is basically rati, affection or love. So the essence of every main bhakti ras, the essence of every ras is love, or love is the predominant factor in all the 5 main bhakti rasas. That is what he wants to say here. Nothing else. You can't combine 12 rasas into one.
So by the word sum total,
He means essence.
He means essence, because those two terms seem so different.
Yes. So the essence of the essence of each ras. The essence of each ras is basically affection, rati. Because if you try to combine horror with comedy, we have nowadays some experiments called dark comedies, but they are not appreciated by the devotees. And neither are such things present in Krishna Leela in the writings of the acharyas. So you can't mix. They are not physical substances to mix with each other. There's some incompatibilities there.
Right. And then a couple lines later, this is my last thing. A couple lines later, when he says, when these 5 rasas, the primary ones, are absent, love is present indirectly in the 7 secondary ones.
That's what I told you. See, I told you. Why did he, if he wanted to combine all of them, why did he separate 5 out? So what he wanted to say was the essence of the 5 primary rasas is rati, affection. That is the sthai bhav, is the essence, the basis of all these 5 is sthai bhav, or rati, affection or love. And let's say you don't take the 5 main rasas, so love is also indirectly present in these secondary bhakti rasas. But the basis of the 5 main bhakti rasas is sthai bhav, rati, also, which Prabhupada translates as affection or love.
Okay. All right, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Even in here, see, there has to a lot of studying, thorough studying to be done. Let's say Prabhupada says here, I'm giving an example, some total of 5, this is called as affection or love. Now we agree that he's speaking about the 5 main rasas. Do you agree or do you not agree?
When he says the sum total?
Yeah, because later he's saying when these 5 are absent, right?
Okay, yeah, right.
So primarily in this statement, he's speaking about the 5 main bhakti rasas. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of these rasas is called as Shantaras, right?
Yeah.
Now, please note this statement. The sum total of all the, so every ras should have some affection or love. But then there is also Shantaras. And in Shantaras, Prabhupada will say something about this, something like this. See, please, you only read the translation.
It is the nature of Shantaras that not even the smallest intimacy exists.
Right. So this is the nature of Shantaras, that not even the smallest intimacy exists. But the previous statement we were reading, that every ras has affection or love. But Shantaras, even amongst 5 rasas, Shantaras is an exception because there is no concept of intimacy, intimate love in Shantaras. So actually only 4 rasas have intimacy of love.
So it's a little contradictory, right? If he says that.
Yes, and the maturity is to sort out the contradictions. That's all I have to say. Because this is called as purva apar vichar, to study something, then to study later something which appears to be contradictory, then to harmonize both of them.
Yeah.
So this statement is also by Prabhupada. So we have to accept this statement on face value.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is this is that verse that I just read is Madhya Leela 19:2-18.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just giving some food for thought. I'm not trying to create a contradiction in your mind, but I'm giving some food for thought because it will churn the process of self-study even more. And that's what I want. I want that those who are, because you're studying seriously, so this churning should be there. When we encounter some contradictions, do we take one statement and reject the other statement, or do we try to harmonize both the statements? So what would you want to do in such a situation?
Oh, harmony, always harmony.
Yes, so that's fine. So we can't reject the earlier statement by Prabhupada, but we know that even amongst the 5 main bhakti rasas, Shanta doesn't have any concept, any trace of intimacy in it.
Yeah, I mean, he does say also in that Bhagavatam quote that we were discussing before that, right after he talks about the sum total, he says primarily such signs of love are manifested in, 1, 2, 3. Oh, never mind. because adoration is there. I was going to say something, but now I just got another contradiction, so never mind. When these five are absent, love is present. And when these five are absent, it doesn't mean that they are not there, it just means that they are not manifest.
Right.
Right?
These five are not directly present in the 7 secondary rasas. They're indirectly present. When these five are absent, these 5 rasas are not there, or when these 5 rasas are, when you don't, when these 5 rasas are not,
Prominent.
predominating in a personality, then the secondary rasas can also exhibit love. That's what it means.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It's already more than 2 hours now. I don't know how much time you have.
I have all the time.
You have all the time, seriously. Okay, Prabhu, then probably we'll go with the last question now by Sukhsagari Mataji, because she has raised her hands for quite a long time. And this will be the last question. So Sukhsagari Mataji, please go ahead. And please, if possible, try to keep your question short.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Danvat pranams. Very, very detailed Q&A session, Prabhuji. And sadly, some of it went over my head. Prabhuji, I'll just have one quick question. I do have other questions, but I'll reserve it for later. But my just one quick question is, when one Mataji asked a question and you said that we were not originally there with Krishna. So I just want to know, where were we then? I mean, because we eternally exist, right? The soul exists eternally.
Jiva is known as Tatastha Shakti, marginal energy. So where does marginal energy reside? Please tell me.
Perhaps at the intersection of the Brahma Jyoti and the material universe.
Exactly. That's where Maya can pull you.
So, so Prabhuji, when I mean, this is of course Krishna's Leela, and Jai Vijay, they in one sense fell down. So
No. Jai Vijay never fell down. Jai Vijay came down for performing some pastime. They never became Nitya Badha. Jai Vijay remained Nitya Mukta and they did some Leela. They never became Nitya Badha. They cannot be compared to us.
Okay, so it's wrong to use the word they fell down there.
They fell down, but not as Nitya Badhas.
Okay, Prabhuji, I just wanted to, so it was just for Krishna's, sake of Krishna's pastime. Sure, Prabhuji. Yeah, I have a few other questions, but this was like my main question, Prabhuji. I want to read up on the other topics before I ask, because it's going to be so ignorant. Because one question was, you said that, rasa is Thai bhava, but for a fool like me, what is Thai bhava then? It's like for me two unknowns, so it's a little difficult for me to understand, because if you said that a novice may explain rasa as a mellow, but a serious student would try to define it as Thai bhava, but for me both are unknown, so it's a little difficult to understand, Prabhuji.
Yeah, but that desire should be there. Do we want to become a serious student?
Mm-hmm.
So if the answer is yes, then seriousness is in studying the details.
Sure, Prabhuji. With your kind blessings and the blessings of all devotees, I hope to understand these truths someday, Prabhuji. It is a little mind-boggling for me to go in too much into depth into rasa, because the other parts are a little easier to understand. So
okay, I have a very simple question. At the end of your devotional life, what do you want to experience?
Definitely some kind of a sweet relationship with Krishna. So
that is rasa. But if we don't know what is rasa, how are we going to experience? Or if we don't understand what is rasa, how will we know when it comes?
Sure, Prabhuji. Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, and it's important to read it, but I'm just pushing it away. Maybe I have more.
Yeah, it's okay to procrastinate, but not forever. I'm not saying that you have to do it. We have to do it today, but it should be there on our checklist.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the beautiful class, and I pray for your blessings to understand some truth, at least, of rasas.
I pray that everybody is blessed by Srila Prabhupada, so that everybody understands all the concepts very nicely. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, just sorry, this was like when you say that when when we say that all the universes come from the pores of Lord Vishnu, and then he breathes in the souls into them. So are we to understand that we existed in somewhere in from the body of Lord Vishnu, or how do we understand?
When you got in the material world, then you started existing in his body. Previously, in the marginal region.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, can you please repeat?
When we come to the material world, then we start existing inside Mahavishnu's body during the time of destruction.
Oh, okay.
Before coming to the material world, we were at the border.
Oh, okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. No, Champaklata Mataji, she put me a direct message that she can ask a simple question.
Why not? If she has.
Okay, whatever you say. Go ahead, Champaklata Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I know
Mataji, but again, I request keep it very, very short because we have other classes also. It's more than 2 hours now. So keep it very, very short.
Yes, very short. Prabhu, thank you so much for the wonderful question answer session also. I have a simple question, Prabhu, that is, does all the universes have same Bhagavatam, or is it this Bhagavatam which we are reading is especially for the Earth planet, and all the Bhagavatam differs in each and every universes and all the pastimes are different?
Mataji, just like all the incarnations of Bhagavan have some differences in all the universes. So Shastra is also an incarnation of Bhagavan. So it has some differences in each universe. So it's not that the exact text is carried to each and every universe. The details vary because the Leela of Bhagavan is also different in every universe. So how can the Bhagavatam remain the same in every universe? So Bhagavatam also is describing the Leelas which took place in that universe. And the Leelas themselves are not the same in every universe. How can the Bhagavatam remain the same?
Okay. And does that go same for the Chaitanya Caritamrita also, Prabhu?
For all incarnations of Bhagavan.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. That's all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hare
Krishna. And thank you each and every one of you. And thank you, Hariparshad Prabhu, for this wonderful session. Now I want a single request that if possible, I'll definitely talk to you offline if we can schedule only one question and answer session with you. You guys know, I know a lot of devotees have a lot of questions, especially the sensitive topic that was touched upon, that we are not from the spiritual world. That has really created a lot of agitation in a lot of devotees' minds. So, and of course, other questions about rasa, about sthai bhav, about other secondary bhavas. So, Prabhu, I'll definitely touch base with you offline, and if we can have that.
Yeah, one thing I want to say, that I speak what I have seen in Shastra, and the purpose is not buddhi bhed, to not agitate somebody. And even after hearing what I have said, if people feel that no, this is not the correct answer, or no, we were with Krishna, we were happily enjoying, and one day Maya came and snatched us away, and now we are sleeping in the spiritual world. So if people feel like that, that's fine. They can still, it's a free world, and everybody is free to believe. But what I speak, what I've seen in Shastra. So that's what it should not agitate anybody, because the purpose behind speaking it is to not agitate people. Purpose is to specify what is there in Shastra. That's all, Mataji. We can definitely organize another session on question and answers.
Yes, Prabhu. And so we will end up, but one Mataji, Panishri Mataji, she is asking that you quoted from the Brahma Sutras that says the Jiva never falls from the spiritual world. If you can please share the verse.
The Brahma Sutra doesn't have verses, it has sutras. So please remember always the final sutra of Brahma Sutra. Anavrittihi Shabdat, Anavrittihi Shabdat. The final sutra of Brahma Sutra. That's how you remember it.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Panishri Mataji, hope that helps. So thank you once again, each and every one of you. And thank you, really, really very, very grateful to His Grace Hariparshad Prabhu for accepting our request, coming on the call, opening this wonderful session with wonderful question and answers. So thank you, Prabhu. We'll stop here. We'll pay obeisances to you and to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarupascha kripa sindhu
Vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai. Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace Hariparshad Prabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Dear devotees, tomorrow we have another beautiful session by His Grace Adigadadha Prabhu on chapter 2 of teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So please join. Hare Krishna, Dandavats.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Please accept Facebook request. Thank you, Prabhu.
Your name, Prabhuji, please. Your name.
Prabhuji, I don't have Facebook. I sent a request from my wife. Her name is Anshu Ahuja. I sent a request, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So kind of you. Danva Pranam, Prabhu.
Thanks.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Taking the call. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.